Hello, everybody. It is another late night, super late night, trying to get another video done. Um, this is actually out of order. I know. This is episode 66, whereas the last episode was episode 67. Why? I partially explained it in the last one, I think. Um, I was trying to clear out my cloud storage of local recordings for all the videos that I do. And I accidentally deleted the upcoming broadcast that was supposed to be from a few days ago of this that I'm doing right now. So I had to do another one in its place. Well, I'd already done another one, and I already was going to have it scheduled, and I just didn't have it scheduled yet, but it was done. So I just stuck that one in because I was short on time. So this is the correct episode, 66, even though it's out of order. It's the missing Moonshine episode because the Moonshine was missing last week, and instead you got the what did you have? The writer's tears. The writer's tears. So, what is special about this one? You may remember some time ago, and I don't remember what episode it was because I think it was episode 50. I think it was episode 50. It was a big Wentz thing. I had gotten 2 bottles of Clown's Iowa Shine. And if you wait just a minute, I'll actually go get that bottle. I should have been prepared and get the bottle, but I'll go get it now. Oh, I know you wanted to see that view right in your face. Sorry. Um, Clown's Iowa Shine. You can see there's not very much left in here because after I did that video and had it was scheduled for several weeks before I unfortunately deleted it at the very last minute, like right before it was supposed to go on. And so there was considerably a lot more in here, and I've been drinking it ever since. Not because necessarily I like it, because I kind of don't, but just to get rid of it. Now, I had 2 bottles of this, the Iowa Shine, and I left one bottle as it was, clear, okay? But the other one, I put one of these into. Now, this is not an endorsement. This is not a sponsorship. These people don't even know that I'm doing this, so no big deal. No harm, no foul. No money's changing hands. It is a piece, and of course, I promptly dropped it on the floor. It's a piece of wood. It's wood. It's not an actual bullet. It's a piece of wood. Okay, it's not. This isn't a video about guns. It's a piece of wood in the shape of a bullet, just to be creative because freedom, I guess. I don't know. And it's made out of oak. It's made out of white oak, and it is supposed to mature bourbon or whiskey in days rather than months or years. Works like a new bourbon barrel, only faster. Removes the burn and makes bourbon smoother. Adds deeper and bolder bourbon flavors. Okay? And my hope was that this was going to change the consistency and taste of the Moonshine because I was not a big fan. It just wasn't very palatable to me. And it did make a difference. In my original video, I went over all of this already. So it's not particularly new to me, but I'm going to try to go and do it as fresh as possible anyway. The first thing, of course, is the color. Now, in this, Glencairn is the original. This is how it started. This is unaltered. This is how it is straight from the bottom. Okay? This is what it became. And it was in there for 9 months. And it changed quite a bit about it. It definitely tastes different. You still have a little bit of the original taste in the back end there, but it definitely has become something new. For comparison, okay, original, aged. My hope was that I would take the Moonshine and turn it into bourbon or American whiskey or something, not just straight Moonshine. And I think I kind of succeeded. Maybe. But I'm going to do a little taste comparison for you so you get an idea. So here's the original. Yeah, it's not particularly palatable to me. It's sharp. It tastes almost like Irish poachine, if you know what that is, which is a little bit like sake, but not quite as sophisticated. And you can definitely tell that there was corn that this was based off of. It was based off of a corn mash bill. And it's not great. As Rob said at the time, if you infused this with fruit or something else as you were creating it, it would probably taste better. And I tend to agree with him because over time, after I did the last video thinking I was safe, I did various like mixes of this with different things, with juices or with cola and stuff, and it mixes relatively well. It also makes a decent variation on an old fashioned. You add a little bit of sugar, add a few drops of Angostura bitters, and it's not bad. Not really. It's not the best old fashioned I've ever had, but it's not bad. It's much more palatable to me. Now, you're not here just to see what I think of that. You're here to see the difference in this, because it has definitely made the color different, much darker, and there is a different flavor to it. So I'm going to try to refresh my memory with this taste and try to give you my unbiased opinions on it. And it tastes much more caramelly. It's a bit smoother, has a lingering wood aftertaste. I think I may have left the bourbon bullet in for a little too long. It's hard to say. But it's definitely on its way to becoming more like whiskey, more like bourbon. It actually tastes a little bit like a cognac, which is weird because cognac isn't, whiskey. It's made differently. But it almost tastes like a cognac. You can definitely taste that it's been aged with the oak. There's definitely an oakiness to it. Got an itch in my back, pardon me. Just trying to follow it around. And while it was definitely different, I wasn't sure that I liked this any better or worse than the main moonshine. But this also mixes relatively well and makes a pretty decent old fashioned, just like the other one. A little bit of sugar, or simple syrup, or a sugar cube. 2 or 3 drops of Angostura bitters, of course. It's not bad. It's not bad at all that way. Straight up, I'm still not a huge fan, but I think it was a worthwhile experiment. And I would like to try this on other things too. I'd like to try it on rums. I'd like to try it on things that aren't strictly bourbons or whiskeys, because I'd like to see what effect a faux bourbon barrel would have on those other spirits. I think it would be a worthwhile experiment, because this taught me a thing or two. This really was, it taught me some patience and to not just go in and drain from these bottles. And it taught me a little bit of science about how these things work. And I was impressed. So, I recommend the Shine? I don't know. It's a very complex kind of taste. It's a very particular flavor. It's up to you. I recommend everybody try it at least. But it's $60 a bottle, I believe. Just like their whiskey from Cedar Ridge Distillery, which also makes a lot of other great things. They make the Slipknot number 9. They make the American Quintessential, which is excellent. Almost had an expletive in there. Super, super good. Yeah, so I'd recommend that. I would recommend getting one of these kind of things and doing some aging at home if you have something that you don't mind possibly ruining. That's the key. This stuff I didn't like already, so it's kind of like, you know what, if it gets any worse, it's not a big deal. It can only get better, right? I wouldn't recommend putting this in something like your $100+ Whistle Pig or Macallan or Glenlivet or something like that. I wouldn't recommend that. But lesser stuff that you're maybe like, you know what, I get this and it's not great, but it's not bad. Try one of these. Try one of these things. Put it in the bottle. Just let it sit somewhere in a cool, dry place, wherever you store your bourbon or your whiskey or whatever spirits you want to use. Let it sit there for 3 to 6 months or longer. I think six months is probably the sweet spot, maybe. But I went for 9 on this, mostly because I let time get away from me, and I was just interested to see just what kind of a difference it would make. You could even go a whole year, I guess, but it says now. It says drop it into your favorite whiskey or bourbon. Take a sip each day until desired results. 3 to 4 days. Use it again in 2 more bottles. It's good for 3 uses. Although I don't know how good this one is now that it's been in there for 6 months or 9 months, really. But they recommend 3 or 4 days. So, but that's also in bourbon that's already been aged. This is just to kind of add a little bit of oomph to it, right? I would at least put it like 3 weeks, a slightly substantial amount of time just to let it work. Because this is really the star of the show. It did substantially change the character of the spirit in a way that was interesting enough to make it a positive experience. Even if I didn't really care for the end result, it didn't make it worse. It didn't make it bad. It just made it different, but not in a way that made me want to have more. I guess I'm being picky about it. I'm being picky. But and there's other things other than just this one. This is what I got, but there's different things that you can buy that are very similar. You can even get little like mini casks that'll actually, you can put the whole bottle into. But the mini casks you have to seal yourself. They don't come sealed because it's some kind of safety thing. I don't know, some kind of regulation. And I looked into it, and it was like it was a bit of work, and I didn't want to risk a leak. I didn't want to leak anything anywhere. This, you just pop into the bottle. It should fit down any standard bottleneck, and I just let it do its work. And then if you have a decanter, you can transfer the contents into the decanter, so you have an empty bottle with this thing rattling around in it, and then you can just easily pour this out and get it out without making a mess. So, yeah. Bourbon Bullet, not a sponsor, not an endorsement. Okay, just a recommendation because it worked out pretty well for me as far as like me learning some things. And once again, this is the difference. There's the camera. The tablet's kind of like standard, aged. Okay. So with that said, that's all good. I hope I have something new by the time of the next video. I'm actually out of new things, and I'm out of all the extra videos. This is the last one that I'll have recorded. Ran into a snag as far as money-wise, which is fine. It happens every so often. And so I'll have to see what I can do for the next one. Maybe I'll just end up doing infinite cheap shot challenges or something. I don't know. Or I should just branch out into other spirits that are cheaper, like getting into more rums, and because I've done the Kraken, I've done some other things. So I should just go into those other things. And and diversify, right? So that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you are looking forward to possibly trying one of these for yourself. I recommend it. It's a fun experience. It's definitely will teach you a little bit about the overall process and how bourbons and whiskeys are created and turn into the flavors that you love. And on that note, that's all. I will see you folks next time. Until then,